to the Prophecy Club. I've got a question to start with today. Have you ever been frustrated with trying to talk to someone about Jesus that doesn't even believe that there is a God? They don't believe in the Bible, and they certainly don't believe in Jesus. Is that frustrating for you? Well, one of the things that we can do, we can't, as my dad used to say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Well, of course, I want to say, well, you can push his snout under the water, and he can drink or he can drown. But, of course, that doesn't work either. And, of course, you can't make someone believe. Now, as we learn in Revelation, there's some pretty bad things that God is going to be sending. He is going to do his dead level best to convince these people that he is Lord before the end, but we don't have control over that. So what can we do? Now, one of the things that will help us to reduce frustration when we're trying to talk to someone, and as I mentioned many times, I play racquetball, and I love this guy. His name is Andy. I play racquetball with him. Matter of fact, I played with him last night. He's left-handed. He's a pretty good player, but he takes great pleasure in tearing up Christians. This guy, he can't wait for someone to mention that they're a Christian or get him into some kind of conversation about God. That is everybody except me. Because he can tell when the conversation starts, I know what I'm talking about, and I can match swords with him. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be able to convince anyone. Again, like the old saying says, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Let me say that again. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. However, one of the frustrating things for us Christians is to not have the words to say. How do we convince these people that can be convinced? And by the way, the only thing that's going to convince someone like Andy is some kind of an act of God. He openly says that, you're going to have to prove God to me. But, okay, so I understand. We can't convince everyone. I understand that. And you understand that. However, there are some people that we can convince. And here's the big point that I'm really getting to. Okay, maybe this person we're talking with is never going to be convinced. I understand that. However, even if we can't convince them, I don't know about you, but I at least like to look relatively informed when I'm talking to someone like that, especially like, for example, my only time to get out because, I'm stuck in the radio room and ministry and pastoring a church. And so about my only time to get out and meet other people outside of the ministry is when I play racquetball. So there's, unfortunately, a lot of racquetball stories. So anyway, we want to be able to answer these people. We want to be able to give an answer. We want to look like at least we're halfway informed, not just some kind of dunce. We don't want to come across, well, I believe the Bible and that's it. Okay. I don't have any reason. I don't know why I believe the Bible. I believe the Bible because my parents believe the Bible. I believe the Bible because I grew up in church. Okay. Well, that's just, to a lot of people, A, not good enough, and B, it certainly doesn't make us look like we have much more than a hole in our head. So, how can we change that? Now, yes, a lot of things you hear on Prophecy Club help you to change that. But here's the problem. You just hear them. And I know you've been in conversations and you almost want to say, yeah, but I heard this on the radio. You might even want to say, yeah, but I heard this on Prophecy Club. Okay. But, you got to know more than that. So what happens when you listen to the Prophecy Club is you get a superficial understanding on a lot of different topics. And if you listen to a lot of radio or you go to a lot of different sites, you do a lot of reading, you've got to, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to look informed, sound informed, to where people are going to listen to you, you've got to, here it is, you've got to really be informed. Now, like for example, I had, teenager, I was 16 years old, began asking me questions recently. So, does the Bible say anything about dinosaurs? Well, now, probably most people would say, no. They might even say, I don't know. But I had the answer. I said, oh yeah, Job 40 and 41. And I popped open the Bible and we began to read, and I began to explain to him about Leviathan and about Behemoth, the grass eater and the fire breathing dragon. Yeah, it's there. Okay. So these guys that run across me, having been in the ministry as long as I have, radio program, TV program, 23 years, making all these DVDs, interviewing all these guests, I'm well informed. Matter of fact, Andy actually came to me one Saturday morning and he said, I got a question for you. And this time it was not in an attacking tone. He was honestly seeking. And he started into the question and I thought, oh boy, my prayers have been working and I get a chance to really answer this guy and be able, because I'm a guy, I mean, I've got some, I've been to Noah's Ark. I've been within feet of the Ark of the Covenant. I have seen the crossing site of the Red Sea. I have seen the round marble pillar that Ron Wyatt believed was left there by King Solomon, marking this as the exit point of the crossing site of the Red Sea. So I have a lot, I know the Bible. I've had a lot of speakers, but I went on that tour. Now, here's where I'm getting to all of this. A lot of you need more information to be able to come across as at least intelligent. Okay, maybe they're not going to believe, but at least we should have an answer. Now, that's what I'm coming to today. I've put together, and if I don't even get to what I'm going to read today, the most important thing for you to do is to move from the superficial into the really informed area. Okay, like somebody says, well, I believe in a pre-trib rapture. You came to the wrong person, because I've made 3 DVDs on the rapture. I participated in a 3-hour debate on the rapture, and I know the 3 verses that are the 3 best verses in the Bible that totally decimate and destroy the pre-trib, the mid-trib, and the pre-wrath position. So if you say you're pre-trib and you want to match swords, you knocked on the wrong door. If you say you don't believe in the Bible, you said it to the wrong person. Because, again, I've been on the tour. I've seen the stuff. I've got the answer. Now, the point is not to try to lift up me. The point here is I'm trying to encourage you. You need to move from the superficial to the really informed. You want to be in the position when somebody asks you about the Bible that you really got the goods. Okay, and I hate to say it, but listening to the radio is not going to get you to that level. You've got to do some research. Now, I'm going to tell you about these 4 DVDs, and I'm going to tell you straight up, you need to get them. It's a great deal, but it's not about being a great deal. It's about getting you to move from superficial to the, oh yeah, you're asking the wrong person because I've got the answers. And you don't mean that in a way to where you can like dominate them or step on them or crush them or none of that stuff, okay? You're saying that because unlike all of the other people that these folks have been running across, other Christians they've been chewing up and making look like ridiculous, uninformed Christians, as, well, they probably are with you. They just ran across somebody that's got the goods, and you can give the answer. Okay, now let me tell you about these 3 DVDs. First of all, the story is on the first one in 1991. My wife and I, and that's quite a story because it was God. Matter of fact, I'll just tell you the story. Okay, so at the time, 1991, I had no interest in being in the ministry. Again, I thought God was a bad paycheck, so no, I was going to make too much money, and he couldn't pay me enough. So sorry, but by the way, I was wrong. God's the best boss in the world, and if you get a chance to go to work for him, say yes. Anyway, so I was out selling these self-improvement programs. One of the programs was public speaking, and the other program was a sales course, a management course. I sold them, and then I organized them, then I taught the course, and did that for 13 years. And in the meantime, on the side, I got interested in Bible prophecy. I met Henry Gruber, Dimitri Duduman, and one of the people I met was Ron Wyatt. So in, probably 6 months before this, I got on his mailing list, and I got a piece of paper saying that, hey, we're getting up a tour. Would you like to go? And I think it was like $3,500 for a 2-week tour. And I didn't even finish reading it. And I just said out loud, I said, I don't know how we're going to find the money to go on this, but I'm going. So I walked into Leslie. I can remember like it was yesterday. I walked in and I said, honey, I said, I'm going. I don't know how we're going to have the money, but I'm going on this. And I handed her the piece of paper. She only read about 2 or 3 sentences and she says, well, I'm going too. I said, honey, I don't know how we're going to find the money for me to go, much less you to go. She says, I'm going. And, I think God heard that. I think he saw in our heart that we were not going to be stopped. And may I say that that's an important trait to have as a Christian. When God calls you to do something, that you got to have that dogged determination. That's what the word in Revelation, when he says patience, that doesn't mean don't lose your temper. It means don't quit on Jesus, okay? The overcomer means you didn't quit on Jesus, even to the point where you risked your own life to not quit on Jesus. So anyway, so we got up some $7,000. Now I have to tell you how God sent the money, because we don't have any $7,000 laying around. We still don't have $7,000 laying around. But all of a sudden, like within a couple of weeks, God arranged this big sale. This bank had me come in and do a big training session for their whole bank. And I remember, and we had the money, and we went. And I remember at the end of that year, we had the big annual convention, and my boss looked over the numbers. He said, well, if you hadn't taken off those 2 weeks to go on that tour thing, he said, your sales wouldn't have dropped. Well, I knew my sales hadn't dropped. And so I said, well, where did my sales drop? And he says, well, let me see. And they didn't drop. In other words, God just filled in the blank. My sales didn't drop. He sent the extra money for us to go on this tour. Now, why?
We'll be right back after this message.
I just made a new DVD giving 4 specific reasons why all people should believe Dimitri Duduman, and 4 specific incidents with him, proving that he was from God. And then I give Dimitri's testimony and his dreams and visions, 2.5 hours. Bree did an awesome job that will surprise you with the information that she has from Kenya and other nations where globalists have been changing Christian nations into globalist anti-Christ nations. You will be shocked. You do not know what is in this DVD. I didn't. I promise you do not know this. You will be shocked. My experiences with Dimitri Duduman and Bree's America's War in Heavens, both for a gift of $40 at prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. My experiences with Dimitri Duduman and America's War in the Heavens, 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com. Order today.
And now, back to the program.
He sent the extra money for us to go on this tour. Now, why? Because I believe one of these days I'm going to be speaking in sports stadiums. And the information that is on this DVD will be the DVD that I will go back to watch again. I've watched it many times, and I watch it from a time-to-time basis because on this DVD, let me explain. And here's another reason I know that this is God. For this particular Christmas, I told everybody, I said, what I want is a nice VCR camera, VHS camera. In those days, they hadn't come out with S-video yet. VHS cameras had just come out. And I said, I want a VHS camera. That's what I want for Christmas. Told everybody. Well, sure enough, that Christmas, I got my father-in-law, wealthy guy at the time, bought me a nice video camera, and several people bought batteries and, a tripod and all the fixings, right? Shortly after this is when I go with Leslie and we go on this archaeology tour. Now, I think that God sent me on this tour so that I will be able to give an answer. So I can talk to the Andes of the world and absolutely positively say, I was there. I saw this. I saw this with my own 2 eyes. Now, you can't say that. I understand that. But you can say, I have seen evidence. But you got to watch this DVD several times. You probably want to watch this DVD with your notepad in your hand, and you want to make some notes so that the next time somebody says, well, I don't believe the Bible, I don't believe there's a God out there, you're going to have an answer. you're going to have a good answer, you see. That's what is in this DVD. Now, let me tell you about the DVD. So, I take my VHS camera on this 2-week tour, and every time Ron Wyatt talked, I had this VCR stuck up under his nose, recording every word he said. I came back with about 10 2-hour tapes, and it's kind of a crude editing, but nevertheless, I edited together I think it's a full 2-hour tape. Of course, they didn't have any more things longer than 2 hours, so it was the longest tape. However, I bought the very highest quality VHS tapes you could possibly buy back then. They were metal. And then all of this is all done in the highest quality VHS. So the copy that you actually get is pretty good for something that was done in 1991. Now, of course, they have cameras these days that are 4-chip cameras, and good grief, it's so much better. But HD and all that. But 1991, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. You can see it pretty good. Now, what's on the DVD? Why do you need to get a DVD that Leslie, and actually I did most of the shooting, in 1991? Here's why. First of all, as we went to these different places, I record this. You're going to see Noah's Ark, and you're going to hear Ron, and this is stuff you can't get anyplace else. You're going to hear Ron Wyatt explain these things, and frankly, I think I did a pretty good job of being a cameraman. And also, he explains all of the anchor stones. Then we also went to Gomorrah. We picked up these sulfur balls of sulfur, anywhere from a dime size all the way up to the size of a fist. I've got a little bit larger than a shoebox size of them, full of them, okay? Golgotha, the place of the skull, the Ark of the Covenant. Now, I would love to be able to say I have videotape of the Ark of the Covenant. But nobody has videotape of the Ark of the Covenant. What I do have is videotape of Ron Wyatt down in a cave. As a matter of fact, the lens was kind of, how do I say, it's kind of smoking up, from the humidity in the cave. And that part there wasn't that good. But what he said was really good, because he basically said that we're a matter of feet from the entrance to where the entrance is for you to go and see the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the Ark of the Covenant is this big gold box, which is basically the throne of God. It's a big golden chair. Inside has the 10 commandments in it. And what I'm going to read after I get through this today, I may be covering this for several days, but it's important. It's important for your walk, for you to be able to have an answer to your friends, people around you, that you get this. And we've got actually 4 DVDs in this offer. I've just been talking about one DVD so far, but it's really, for example, he also talks about giant bones, and he actually holds up a giant bone. And it is, I'm going to say 4 times bigger, at least 4, maybe 5 times bigger than the bones that we have. Talks about the Ark of the Covenant. All of this in this one DVD. Now, let's go to the next one. So, in October 2012, I decided I was going to make another DVD, and this one's about an hour long. But it is basically me explaining the 2-week tour and showing pictures of Noah's Ark and doing more of an explanation of what I saw, the crossing side of the Red Sea, Jesus' tomb, amazing discoveries. It proves the accuracy of the Bible. You see, the devil knows that this Ark of the Covenant has been found. So his only defense is to present decoys so that many, in fact, that unless a person has been taking time to investigate the evidence, they'd simply write off the genuine from frustration and confusion. So it's very important that you get the second DVD called Noah's Ark Confirms the Bible, so you can understand some of the things that you see in the first DVD. Then we had Michael Rood in. Now, Michael Rood, and this is how he ties in here. He heard about Ron Wyatt. Now, we actually went on tour with Ron White. Michael didn't go on tour with Ron White, but he investigated a lot of things that Ron White had seen. He went to see Ron White, and he added a whole other dimension to all of this. Michael takes you into one of the most thrilling archaeological discoveries of modern-day Israel. He presents the most recent photographs and video footage of artifacts smuggled out of Saudi Arabia. He also, in this DVD, displays a grinding stone. Now, I've actually held that grinding stone, and I held a grinding stone before I met Ron White for him to make this DVD. I mean, all of this stuff I knew years before this. But anyway, grinding stone, it's about the size of a large pancake, both of them. It's about the size and shape of a large, thick pancake, and they use this to grind the manna. Again, you get the DVD. He also shows Israeli arrowheads that litter the desert of Midian, the intact remains of the altar to the golden calf. That's real important, okay? This is where Moses and all of the people that were supporting him and following him had that big rebellion. Remember that, okay? Also, the rock at Rephidim. This is the giant split rock. So try to imagine a giant, like a dice, a giant cube rock. It's a square rock, okay? And it is split right down the middle. And we believe that this is the rock where Moses struck the rock. He was supposed to speak to it, but he struck it, and water came out. Now, here's the interesting part about this rock. You would think that, God caused the water to flow up from the earth up and split this rock, and the water came up through the middle of the split of the rock. No, that's not. Okay, so try to imagine a giant rock the shape of not a pair of dice, but a dice. In other words, a giant square rock that is broken right down the middle. But here's the interesting thing. Water poured out of this. Millions of gallons of water. We're talking about a good-sized river came out from the middle of this rock. But where it came out from, try to imagine, see if I can try to explain this on the radio. Try to imagine a round sphere that a person could probably stand up in. In other words, it's bigger than a beach ball. It's like 4 to 6 times bigger than a beach ball. And try to imagine this up in the middle of the split. So what God was doing was not bringing water up from the earth through the crack in the rock. This was created in a round area, again, about 6 times larger than a beach ball up near the top of the rock. In other words, God created a river of water that poured out of this rock out of thin desert air. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. It's all in this DVD. These evidences, like, for example, that much water come pouring out of the middle of a rock in the desert. If that's true, you gotta be able to see it. Again, I've been there, okay? And you can see where millions of gallons of water poured out. Of course, all of the small rocks are all washed down, but it's also washed nice and smooth that only millions of gallons of water could do to what would normally be a rough rock. But this is all nice and smooth. But here it is. But it's water that's coming out of the middle of this giant cubed rock that's probably 25 feet in the air. Okay, so how do you get water to come out of the middle of a rock 25 feet in the air, and there was no water coming up from the bottom? It was coming down. In other words, water created literally out of thin air. And of course, it washed all down through the valley, and you can see that. All of this. Now, there's 2 discs on that. So if you want to come across informed and well-read, someone that can give an answer, if you have people around you that don't believe, these 4 DVDs, now, you can't just watch them one time for just entertainment. You're not getting them for entertainment. You're getting them because you want to be informed. You want to have a way to back up the fact that the Bible is true. You want to be able to talk about, you don't believe in Golgotha? Well, let me tell you about Golgotha. I mean, it looks like a skull. And of course, unfortunately, now it's been kind of destroyed, but what we have on the video, what we have photographs, it looks like a big skull. And that's the reason the Bible says the place of the skull, Golgotha. All of this information, you will be fascinated. You will be amazed. Now, I didn't even get to read what I was planning to read today. But believe me, you get this offer and you watch it several times, and I mean like 2 or at least 3, probably more like 4 or 5 times each video with your notebook in hand, pen, and you're making notes, and you got to kind of like memorize it. I mean, you got to be able to explain what you're seeing, and then you're going to be able to give an answer. Okay, here's the way it works. Archaeology confirms the Bible. Now, yes, it was made a long time ago in 1991, but it's still pretty good quality, especially for 1991, and there has not been any more tours up to this area. Ron White has been dead for several years. So this is the latest and the best information available on these sort of things. So it's a great DVD. I'm telling you, it's good. Second thing is my talk on Noah's Ark confirms the Bible. This was made in 2012, but it explains a lot of things that were in the first DVD. Then Michael Rood, 2 discs, and it's called End Times Archaeology and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Fascinating. 4 DVDs, all of them valued at $80. Here's what we're going to do, though. We're going to make a special deal today. You can get all 4 discs, 3 titles, all 4 discs. It's called the Archaeology Gift Offer. All 4 of them available for a gift of $40. So you got to ask yourself a question. Next time you find yourself in a conversation around people and you got somebody that does not believe in the Bible, does not believe in Jesus, if you would like to talk well informed, like you know what you're talking about, and be able to give an answer, not to try to crush somebody or put them down, but simply be able to give an answer, simply be able to stand up for your faith, being able to say, yeah, I can give you some reasons why we believe the Bible. I'll give you some reasons why there is a God. Let me tell you, here's what I have seen, okay? And then you begin to explain it. 4 DVDs, very powerful, I'm telling you, 4 DVDs, very powerful, valued at $80, available today for a gift of $40. Now you can get it at prophecyclub.com. Or you can call us, 785-266-1112. prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. It's called the Archaeology Gift Offer. Archaeology Gift Offer, 4 DVDs valued at $80 for a gift of $40. prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless.
The Prophecy Club is on the tip of God's spear. Join the battle and prayerfully consider supporting the Prophecy Club with your gifts of support. We would not be here without your prayers and generous financial support.
Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you.
We have put the collection of the best of the 2016 DVDs together in an awesome gift offer. First, Miracles in Pakistan. Pastor Masih tells the story of 23,000 Muslims that he led to Jesus in Pakistan. Then in his DVD, Visits to Heaven and Hell, tells about going to heaven once and twice to hell, and it will scare. And then the third one is The Babylonians Are Coming, his 9 dreams that God gave him about judgment on America. Then Bree Keaton talks about explosive prayer strategies, emergency prayers that work. Finally, includes Lindsey Williams' new DVD, Trump Speaks to the Elite, and how Trump changed things and the new plans of the elite. 5 DVDs valued at $168, all available now for a gift of just $75. Helps us stay on radio, okay? That's valued at $168, all for a gift of just $75. prophecyclub.com, 785-266-1112. prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. The best of 2016. Order now.